The year is 1989. New Jersey, where I live at that point. A young boy, underage, knows Maxwell's is having a band. His favorite band is playing Maxwell's on New Year's Eve. He buys 2 tickets. Him and his dumb high school friend. We go, this boy, not we, it might not be me, take the train, 45 minutes into Hoboken. This boy realizes his friend is dressed like he's going to a confirmation ceremony or something.
I thought you were going to say, I was going to say, what, Kaja Gugu?
No, he was wearing a sweater.
Oh, my God.
And the other boy was like, that's not good. And because they were both underage. Young boy number 1 hands his ticket. They both walked a mile across Hoboken from the train station to Maxwell's, the club. And then boy number 1 hands his ticket in. Come on in. Welcome. Happy New Year. Come on in. Boy number 2 hands his ticket. How old are you? Gets asked. Gets turned away. Boy number 1 leaves with boy number 2 and goes home and stares at a wall on New Year's Eve, missing the show he was looking forward to more than anything. I don't know if you know, that was me.
Wow.
I was not the one with the sweater on. I knew not to dress like a doofus at this.
Wow.
Right, but you've stayed really close with boy number 2, and he's since saved your life, right?
We are as tight as can be. We talk all the time. No, that was what we call the beginning of the end of a friendship. But now, jumping forward all that time, now boy number 1 has finally, this fixes that gaping void in my life.
Wow.
You're broken from all those years. This is like
we're glad we can fill your void.
No, well, thank you. That's the nicest thing anybody ever said to me. Now, this is so exciting. We have Jeff McDonald, Steve McDonald from Red Kross are here. This is so amazing. Thank you for coming.
And we're doing like a role reversal because instead of you coming to us, you summoned us to you this time. So
it's how it works. Once in a while, it breaks your way in life. I'm not used to it. I'm waiting for you to like process serve me or some like twist on why this is wrong, not meant to be good. But I'm just going to trust it.
Yeah, and let's keep boy number 2 away from this event because he could mess the whole thing up.
I'm telling you, I don't know what that guy's up to now.
Yeah.
Good riddance to bad trash. That's all I say about that
and
guy.
Bad looks.
And bad looks. That sweater, I'm telling you, his sweater, you'd think, really.
Was it tied over his shoulder like a preppy style?
No, it was just way too tight with a collar underneath.
Right.
As if he was like really like getting ready for like a school photo or something.
Right.
Well, I'm thinking 1989. So
no, it would have been earlier, 87-ish, 88 maybe.
Probably, was it 88 going into 89?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe that makes sense.
There every year for a while.
So the dead giveaway was that the guy at the door was thinking, this kid's mother dresses him funny.
Yes, exactly.
He clearly can't have
it's just like, hey,
the ID for this.
You can't get your hands on a T-shirt. It's also winter in New Jersey. It's like,
right,
just keep the freaking jacket on when you go in. Look, there's somebody already found. This is how fast they move in the booth.
Wow.
There's the tape.
Oh my God. Okay, I hate to be so like a know-it-all, but I believe I said 88.
Yeah. Yes. No. Of course. And I confirmed. I said 88 going into 89. God. That was.
Thank you, whoever did that. So wait,
do you remember
has that person been bootlegging that concert?
What?
Well, that was a cassette tape of the performance.
Sure.
Do you remember any of the highlights from that show?
I don't know. Was that sure. Well, Rabbit and Tom's face.
Haunt me
that
forever.
night was incredible.
Yes.
I mean, I've been chasing that high ever since.
I will just say, if it was Red Kross, then it was incredible. That's the built-in part of the deal.
Thanks. Thanks for the encouragement.
No. in the bands that I've loved my whole life, I don't know if there's a band that I've consistently loved as long as Red Cross, and you've matched the love by continuing to put things out. That you have not broken the trust.
No, geez.
With the people who are fans.
That's very kind words. Broken the trust. I guess that is sort of, there's an element of trust involved between
We kind of do
artist
break the
and-
trust with every record, because there's always going to be someone who hates your new sound.
Yeah, but they come around.
They
but
do
then
come
they come around.
around 5 years
we just
later.
reinitiate them.
Yeah.
Sure, but that's the part of being a fan where it's like, if you think about the Ramones, for example,
Right.
it's like they made 5 perfect albums out of the
Yeah,
box.
exactly.
Like
For sure.
perfect albums. But then there was just a point where it's like you didn't need slightly lesser versions of those 5 perfect albums because they were not necessarily adding things to the mix.
I think the Ramones would have benefited from the Sgt. Pepper era.
Sure.
Oh yeah. Well, but
Yeah.
that's probably what That's probably what end of the century is to.
Oh, that's
Some
right.
of them.
They kind of jumped over the Sgt. Pepper and went straight to the
I think that
Ronettes.
Johnny kept them on such a tight schedule, probably that he didn't really leave room for them to miss it
Yeah.
and let the inspiration come back.
One of my good friends in New Jersey is Dave Windorf from Monster Man. He was in Shrapnel when he was a young guy.
Okay.
The band where they dressed like they were in the military, even though they were the first kids to not get drafted. They went on stage with helmets on and they put sandbags.
Yeah, right. That's
Kind of the most offensive thing you can do. The first kids to miss the draft,
Yeah,
and they're just like, we're in the army.
Yeah, right.
And we're singing songs about fighting in the jungle.
Wow.
But when back then he met Johnny Ramone, they opened for the Ramones a ton of times. And he said, Johnny Ramone took him aside and said, "This is how you do touring." He said, "You take it." There's shrapnel right there.
Oh,
There's
right.
some-
Look at that.
Yeah. You take a briefcase, an empty briefcase.
Yep.
You go on the road. You put the money in it.
Yep.
You go home when the briefcase is full. And he said, like, literally, that's the Ramones rule for touring. We don't go home until the briefcase is full.
But what if you get paid all in ones?
Well, then you go home. It's
We've been paid counterfeit bills.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
counterfeit.
in Canada, they stiffed us in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, we still love our Canadian neighbors, but we've passed many fake Benjis by Canadian promoters. I don't know what that means.
Now, 2024 is such a great year for the band. You have the new album, which is very exciting. Look at this.
Which this is for you.
Thank you so much.
You're the first person to be gifted
I'm
this.
the first person to get the
self-titled
album.
double album.
It's a double album. I don't know if anybody gets this cover. We'll
Yeah.
see if some real heads out there can figure out what this is a reference to. No, this is amazing. And the album is so great. I've been listening to it. It's really, I told you, Steve, I thought it was a high water mark for the band.
You know
and
what?
Really,
That made me feel very nice. Thank you, Tom.
but it's an excellent record, and it just continues. It just continues what you've built, and that's one of the best parts about being a fan is that you've changed, and you guys go where you want to go, but you don't. You're not cavalier about these things. These are not like it's where you. It seems like it's where you actually are when you go there.
Well, we've been doing it so long, it's more of an orientation than an occupation.
Okay.
An orientation.
It is. So, I mean, we just go where, where our muse,
Our muse leads us.
Yeah, where our muse leads us. We're fans of, we're complete fans. So we try to make records that are like records we'd want to hear.
Sure.
Oh, that's always been like the basic goal.
And to track, just for people who don't know, to track the origin of the band, we're talking 80?
70s.
Well, 79 would have been the first recording session and first shows. So this actually marks our 45th year as performing as Red Cross, the two of us.
Well, that's amazing. So so that's when it starts, 79. Jeff, you're 14?
15.
15, okay. And
Well, now that would have been around 83, 82.
Okay.
And I'm a whopping 16 years old at that point, maybe.
Okay.
I'm of age there. No, am I of age yet? No, 16.
What do you mean? Oh, no. Are you 18?
Like
are you 18? No. If I'm 60, yeah, you're 19, maybe. You're 3.5 years old.
Yeah, that was a beach litter walk, and we had to be there at 11 a.m. So that's why we're wearing short shorts.
Sure. Yeah.
I was in such a rush. I didn't even have time. It was a roll out of
bed, do the gig.
I didn't even have time to put shoes on.
Mm-hmm. So what were these moments like where, because it is a leap to say, we're going to do this. We're going to start a band, especially when you're literally children. How do you get to that place? Like, what is it in the both of you to say, like, let's just do this?
It just became, I mean, we grew up with like garage bands like the Partridge Family and the Osmonds.
Yeah.
And the Osmonds.
The classic garage bands.
We got to see children performing rock music before us. So
but they were just mimicking on camera.
No,
but that's what we were doing at that point too.
The Osmond brothers.
We had tennis rackets and cheap, realistic mics.
Yeah, so we just took it to the next level.
Yeah.
So you're saying let's do this because we love the Partridge Family so much, but you're also saying our first show is going to be us opening for Black Flag.
Well, that wasn't like we plotted it that way. It was just like,
you're entering a world that is it's a scary world. I was one of the most terrified children that ever existed, where there'd be like a hardcore show at the community college that it took me 8 years to get through. But before that, I'd be like, it's a hardcore show. And I'd just be like so scared
stressful.
Going to a thing. Yeah.
Sure. Well, I was stressed out about it. But, Jeff, my older brother, this gentleman here, he never really had any fear about it. I never saw you express any fear about it.
I come to the age of cold calls.
Okay.
So if you wanted something done...
About going to a punk show. Did you ever experience any anxiety about going to your first punk show?
Never.
So you experienced no fear. Okay, so just know.
Yeah.
So Jeff is 14. Yeah. No fear at all about it. I'm 11.
Yeah.
And he's saying to me, okay, there's 2 shows coming up, and if we're really persistent, we can probably talk mom and dad into driving us to one of them. And he says to me, he goes, so one show is Angel at the Long Beach Arena, and I'm thinking like, okay, Angel, okay, they're kind of like they're like Kiss, but like the angelic Kiss,
cheap Kiss,
yeah, they're the cheap angelic Kiss. Like, this is going to be safe.
Greg Giuffria,
Greg Giuffria is going to be in a big sports arena. I know what that's like. That's fine. And then when was the other concert?
The Dam and the Jam. No, not the Dam. The Jam and the Eyes.
Oh, the Jam and the Eyes at the Starwood. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I knew that. Well, I guess the Jam were kind of like
their first American show.
Yeah, so I guess that would legitimately still be considered a punk gig.
Yeah, of course, first album.
And the Eyes were a local LA punk band who Jeff later married the bass player many years later. And I thought when
that's being a fan.
I said, that's dedication. I thought we can't go to the Starwood. Mm-hmm. They're gonna know that we're not real punk rockers.
Yeah,
and they're gonna find us. They're gonna root us out. They're gonna hold us down on the ground, and they're gonna shave that. We had green food coloring in our hair, and they're going to know it's not permanent. And they're going to shave our heads and initiate us into this like horrifying cult where I liked the music, but I didn't trust the environment. I was really afraid of it. And Jeff was fearless of this. Why were you fearless?
Because my brain didn't go to like them holding me down and shaving my head. Mm-hmm. That was your trip.
And I'm much closer to where you were at. And look, here's the Jam in playing the Starwood.
Oh, right. We could have been there. And instead,
oh my God, Jam and Starwood.
And instead, we went to see Angel.
So you did go to see Angel.
Yeah, that was my fault.
Oh, I'm sorry. I blew your...
No, that's
the story.
No, it's true. No, I actually right now, Jeff, I want to officially apologize to you that I made you see Angel at the Long Beach Arena in 1978.
They were fine, but it was a very it was an empty experience. It was fine while it was happening, but then it was,
and the arena was kind of empty too. That was all a weird experience. So we'd never been to an arena show,
and it was weird.
That was half sold,
and it was really weird seeing Punky Meadows up close. It was really weird.
Those shows when you realize like that this is a business is kind of weird when it's just like, I thought every one of these things was packed and exciting. And it's just like, why are we the only ones here?
Well, no, it was like even at 11, I think I probably thought, ooh, someone lost money on this.
You probably did. That was your Danny Partridge.
Yeah, that,
So you have
that was my inner Danny Partridge speaking, right?
You had that Partridge, the Danny gene running through you, thinking of the business side. Reuben Kincaid.
Well, because it was an expensive
Oh, there we
show.
go. Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah. But I mean, like, and
Okay,
if you,
wait. Is that that's the version we saw because
oh yeah, with Felix on bass.
yeah, 'cause Mickey Jones, the original bass player, was the Mickey. He
Was the
kind of
Brian Jones.
Yeah, he was the Brian Jones of Angel, and he was kicked out of the band for not wanting to rehearse.
Okay. Look.
So
I mean,
that's-
I don't know how, I mean, we didn't really get that from the source or anything. I don't know what our sources are.
How would
on
I
that.
know that if it wasn't?
But just the idea of like someone from a big like a big metal band that just didn't want to rehearse much.
Makes total sense to me.
It's very funny.
So you enter the scene.
Yeah.
You don't get held down and
No, in fact, we got sort of celebrated because we got there at the end of the LA glitter scene, which was different than the scene that came soon after we put our band together, which was like the LA hardcore scene. And the LA glitter scene was not really like a violent thing at all. These people were like, they were still, high off the fumes of Ziggy Stardust by the time we showed up. And so we, like the bridge for that was sort of like the Runaways. They kind of had one foot in that rock world, but then they had another foot in this like weird punk
And
world.
being teenagers too.
And they were teenagers, so we got to see them, and then we saw like legitimate punk bands like X and the Avengers, and those were
and the Germs, who essentially formed at a Queen show. So
that's true. But we opened for the Germs, and in fact, the label boss at In the Red Records actually saw us open for the Germs at the Hong Kong Cafe in 1979 when I was 12 and he was probably like 15. Larry Hardy is his name. So yeah, it's a crazy experience. But anyways, we caught this brief little period with just the tail end of that scene. And those people were really nice to us. They didn't hold us down. They didn't care if it was food coloring in my hair. They were, supportive. They shined a light on us.
yeah, and it's interesting that you would 10 years later be doing some version of splitting the difference between two scenes with your own band, kind of straddling one side of the line.
Oh, you mean like by the band that the same year played with Sonic Youth, also played with Poison? Would that be an example of that?
Yeah, the pride of Pennsylvania, Poison.